Hey guys, welcome to episode 16 of the LGBTQ Voice. My name is Tracy Welch. I have Leo Monteiro as our guest tonight, and we have Kristina Fonseca and Rebecca McCullough, and she is actually the president of the LGBTQ network. So tonight's conversations are going to be what's going on in and around our community. So we actually have Leo talking about Big Gay Al's Bowling League. So what's going on? You want to talk to me about it?
Sure, Tracy. Thank you for having me on. It's nice to be on the show finally.
And guess what?
What?
This is the first show out of the new studio, and you were it.
Well, congratulations.
I appreciate that.
This is fun.
Yep.
So Big Gay Al Bowling is a charity bowling league that I started 19 years ago, and it's in Rhode Island at Town Hall Lanes in Johnston, and we raise money for community organizations and charities, and we use all the money we raise to help, further education, advocacy for PFLAG, for Options Magazine, AIDS Care Ocean State, AIDS Project Rhode Island, as well as last year we even made a donation to a no-kill animal shelter.
Oh, Options Magazine just restarted again.
They did. They actually just started print again, which is exciting. So
last week they had a grand opening and a hoopla.
Yep. Down Providence.
Yep. So how did the name Big Gay Al's Bowling League come about?
Well, if you're a fan of South Park, there's a character on the show named Big Gay Al, so we unofficially adopted him as our mascot.
Do you have T-shirts that have it on it, or how's that?
No, we do not for copyright purposes.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of funny. So why is there a need, or why did you feel there was a need to have a gay bowling league?
Well, so much has changed in the last 19 years. 19 years ago, there really wasn't something just fun to do just for a night out during the week that didn't involve going to a nightclub or a bar. And some of the people involved were hesitant to be out in the community because they were still in the closet. So I thought, why not do something fun, casual, and at the same time raise some money for worthwhile charities.
Now, how did you get involved with the charity part? You guys hang out, you're bowling, how did that come about?
Well, ironically, a number of my bowling friends happen to be gay.
No.
But honestly, that we were not out to each other until a few years had gone by and we known each other a little better. But a friend of mine owned a bowling alley in Rhode Island, Frank Ferry Jr., and he was a big advocate for marriage equality. And when I came up with this idea, he was like, well, we have to have it at my bowling alley. He said it would be foolish not to. So we picked a night where it was closed to the general public, and we just basically said, okay, let's try it out. Let's see who shows up.
So you said earlier, we talk offline sometimes, that at one point you had put cardboard up so people didn't know who was inside, what was going on, it was a closed event.
Well, there were people who were very conscious about protecting their identities, who were not out to friends or family. So we said, well, let's make sure that it's closed to the public. And Frank said, well, let's put cardboard over the door. That way no one can peer inside, no one's going to see what's going on. And it took a few years before that cardboard came down.
Wow. So it's a mixed league, I heard?
Yeah. Gay, straight, trans, drag queens, bi, whoever, everyone's welcome. The first year we had 2 or 3 whole teams of just straight people, just friends and family, and it's really grown into what it has become today.
Wow. And I was writing down that it is duck pin?
Duck pin bowling, yep. Small ball, short pins.
So how,
about yay high.
Little fatties?
Yeah, short squat pins, and you can hold the whole ball in your hand and there's no holes in the ball.
Yeah, it's kind of like, we were talking earlier, it's like candle pins.
Yeah, it's very similar to candle pins.
Fat pins.
What is it?
With fat
shorter pins.
It's kind of funny. So one of the things that we talk about on our show is that if you guys want to sponsor an ad at any point, you can contact Leo at NewBedfordGuide.com. I'm
Leo at NewBedfordGuide.
We finally got Leo here. So when you guys, at least now you may have a name and a face to kind of go with that. Is there anything else you would like to talk to us about the league?
Well, I mean, it starts next Tuesday night, so apologies, it does conflict with your show.
I know.
But
he has to run.
Everyone is welcome to attend, and it's really for everybody. It only costs $16 a week, and all the money we raise gets donated to charity.
So what is their age groups? Is there a certain cutoff? You don't want 2-year-olds, but in general.
No, I mean in general, it's considered an adult league. It's an actual sanctioned league, so your scores count. They get recorded in the
EPA,
the Rhode Island Duckpin Bowlers Association. Your scores count. You go in an average book, and you can actually. Some of our bowlers have gone on to rejoin other leagues and now compete in tournaments and things like that.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so some of them take it seriously, but I'd say 90% of them don't. So it's really just a night out. It's a fun atmosphere. We crank the music. It's almost like a rock and roll atmosphere.
So what's the eldest that you have? The oldest that you have that bowled?
The oldest person that ever bowled in the league was 92 years old.
Wow. Well, where's Gilda?
and the youngest was 16 with parental permission.
Yeah. Wow. That's just amazing. Well, we appreciate you having us, or you having come on our show. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Thank you, Tracy.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're here at the Cask and Pig. My name is Justin, and I'm here with Chef Rich. Today we're going to take you into our kitchen. We're going to showcase our wood-fired grill, and Chef Rich is going to show you a couple of our main dishes coming off of there for you today.
Here we are on the grill side, over here at Cask and Pig. I'm going to show you guys our festa plate that we do. Slap of ribs, briskets, and pulled pork. That goes with some mac and cheese and some of our baked beans, all right? Check that out. So we have these perfectly cooked ribs that are just perfectly timed out for you to be here and check them out. Thank you. We're just gonna throw those right onto the grill. We're just gonna let these get a quick little sear on them. Top them off with our barbecue sauce, made here in-house. We're just gonna let that hang out for a couple minutes. Let's just do its thing. We're gonna grab our briskets. Smoked for about 8 hours, and then wrapped up to complete for the juices for another 4. Some nice thin sliced brisket here. Just gonna pop that to one end. From there, some of my awesome pulled pork. Our baked beans are infused with roasted garlic and some sriracha sauce, a little bit of brown sugar, just to extend the flavor of our traditional baked bean. Our baby backs. Right on top. Just gonna get finished off with a little bit of barbecue. There's our festa. Creamy polenta. Our maple parmesan cream corn made in-house. Again, just top it off with a little bit of barbecue. Just enough. Made out of Gouda, cheddar cheese, a little bit of mascarpone. With a cornbread and panko breadcrumb. Right into the oven. Perfect. More barbecue sauce. Scallions. There she is.
We're back. We're back. I hope you guys enjoyed that commercial. We actually don't have Eileen Dugas with us tonight. She's under the weather. We've been working a lot behind the scenes on Pride and other events in our community. So behind the scenes, I have somebody that's going to comment every now and then of what's going on. So what do you got? What are people saying?
So Dennis DeMello says, thank you, Leo, for allowing the community to have a show like this and people like Tracy to host it. It's very needed.
Oh, that's terrific. But however, it's New Bedford Guide that actually does the show. It's Mike, and Leo actually just works for New Bedford Guide. That's great. You said somebody was hungry?
Yeah, Gary Freitas said getting a little hungry.
I wish we could have seen the ads.
So just commercials work.
I know. Just talking about community. So just Mass Attack Roller Derby is having an event on June 16th, and the money and proceeds are going to go to our NB Agley youth group. And NB Agley is an alliance of gay and lesbian youth ages 14 to 24. We meet from 5 to 7 on 484 Pleasant Street every Thursday, as well as First Fridays. First Fridays, it's youth-driven, peer-led, without adult support. On the other Thursday nights, it's an educational piece. We actually have a fun event at the night. It could be a game, it could be, we played Hangman last week, depending on what it is. There's some heavy topics that we do review. We provide educational support and leadership development for youth in our community. And then we also started tutoring on Wednesdays for that age group, ages 14 to 24, from 4:30 to 5:45. So we're actually going to go and talk about some topics that are going on right now. So Kristina Fonseca is the Executive Director for
SouthCoast Fair Housing.
Thank you so much. So yeah, there's a couple surveys that are going on right now. You want to talk about them?
Yeah, so statewide in Massachusetts, there is a count happening right now of unaccompanied homeless youth. And the idea behind it is to find out how many youth are homeless on their own and try to figure out, the extent of the problem and who those youth are. So there's a survey that's available online, and also tomorrow at Bristol Community College in Fall River will be an event from 10 to 1 p.m. So tomorrow, May 9th, 10 to 1 p.m. is an event where youth ages under age 25 can go and fill out the survey, and they might have some free gift cards available if you get there early enough.
So you were asking offline earlier, unaccompanied means without an adult, a guardian, or parental support.
Right, exactly.
Okay? Just for people, because I had to ask, I'm like, what exactly does that mean?
Yeah.
I guess, so why do they only do it like a 2-week period? Why isn't it longer to try and find, or to get these youth to come forward, or?
I think the idea is that, if you take a survey at a particular point in time or over a short period of time, that it should be representative of what will happen as, throughout the year. So that's sort of a snapshot of what happens during that week period or 2-week period.
So what do you think, what's going to happen with these counts? What is the outcome?
The data is helpful for first of all, figuring out what kind of funding is needed for services to combat the problem of homelessness, particularly among youth, but also to figure out, what does that population look like, right? What are the demographics? Some of the questions on there relate to LGBTQ status, and that could help organizations figure out, okay, do we need to specifically target this population for specific services, and make sure that, make more of an effort to make sure that our services are open and accessible to that population.
So we were talking earlier offline that only 12 happened last year?
So last year, 12 youth were identified as homeless in New Bedford and 11 in Fall River, which we don't think is an accurate picture. And of those, only 2 in Fall River identified as LGBTQ, and we also don't think that that number is necessarily reflective of the reality on the ground.
Yeah, because we were talking offline, folks, that our NB Agley is part of the Bagley organization, and there's 15 Bagleys across the state. So we all know that we have homeless youth, and to only see 12 represented, that's not, well, I'm gonna say sucks, I can say sucks, but it does, it's not good, you know?
I think,
Right.
I just want to say, another really important part of this is we have to identify these numbers, and they can be used for more grant money and more federal money to come into this area. So, you know, youth might not want to take the time, or people think it's not important. It's very important. It's important to even just funds for things like NB Agley or the network.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So we're talking about that you can, at the end of the show, they're gonna put it up on a link on this show. You can also find it on our website for the SouthCoast LGBTQ network, and it is sclgbtqnetwork.org. You can find it on our Facebook page as well, the Voices Facebook page, the network's Facebook page. If you're friends of mine out there, or my page, everyone, we just need everybody to share the information to get it out there. One of the things we're talking offline is that if the kids are homeless, how do they know about it? I mean, I say homeless, but it's unaccompanied youth.
Right.
We need, you know, if you know somebody, just say, hey, listen, you know, grab my phone, here, take it, you know, can you do the survey? Can you? Because the more people that step up, the more people are going to be able to help and have true numbers.
Right.
You know, because I just don't see them being true, you know?
Right.
I mean,
We know that's a
especially-
low number.
I mean, especially for our Adley, we know how many people we've had that are, I mean, we joked about that earlier, couch surfing.
Yep.
You know, they don't count couch surfing. And, you know, why do they or why don't they? It is what it is. So if you want more information about the unaccompanied youth, you can actually reach Kristina at Rebecca's email. So it's rebecca@sclgbtqnetwork.org, and she'll be able to answer the questions that she has on that. So we also have the other survey, and it's the adult version. So you can talk about that?
So we did, there are results back. So there was a 24-hour period a couple months back where cities like New Bedford and Fall River went out and counted the entire homeless population. So I do have some figures for that, just to give some points of reference. So in Fall River, the total number of homeless individuals, both in a shelter and not sheltered at the time, were 377 total, and then in New Bedford that same number was 398. So about almost 800 people across the two cities were counted as homeless at that point.
And how many shelters are there?
There are a number of so of those numbers, most of them were in shelter at the time. We tend to see adults without children are typically more likely to be out and unsheltered. But typically families with children will be placed in an emergency or transitional shelter.
So what's the reason for doing these surveys? Like what's the outcome going to come?
Yeah, so it really comes down to being able to have funds granted to various programs so that we can try to tackle this problem. And so it's important that we get as accurate a count as possible so that we can get necessary funds from the state level or from the federal government to help folks in our communities try to transition out of homelessness.
So again, at the end of the show, they're going to put the links up for both of these. Is there a phone number that somebody can call?
Yeah, so if someone's experiencing homelessness, they can call 1-800-HOMELESS from a local number. So I think it works from a 508 or 774 area code. And then they can, that's sort of a one-stop phone number for the whole region to get some help.
So I have that 1-800-466-3537. And this ends, when is this? Oh,
So
that survey's done. The youth survey ends the 14th. Sorry,
Yes.
we didn't say that.
Yes, the youth survey closes up May 14th.
Yeah. So one of the reasons we want, you know, Kristina to come on the show is to talk about, you know, to make sure that we get this information out there. So share it if you have a business page that you could share it on, any way that you possibly can. Just kind of get that information out there. Is there anything else you want to talk about the homeless?
No, I don't think so. Oh, I do want to. No, I did. already point that out.
You did?
No, thank you.
Well, you did show offline earlier, the 2017, we had 352 in New Bedford, and this year we have a 398, so it is jumping. Like
Yes, it's
40, 50.
increased since last year.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And we see it, I see it when I'm driving down the street in the church doorways. And I do like the fact that this year they opened up a lot of the places when it was really cold out. And they have the extra spaces and the extra shelters.
Yes, there are emergency shelters in Fall River and New Bedford for severe weather.
So you also wanted to talk about, that's social advocacy, sorry.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a second. She's actually going to do a double role tonight. Kristina is actually part of the SouthCoast LGBTQ network as well, so we're going to bring her back on in just a minute. But we're going to bring Rebecca, who's going to talk about what the network's been doing. Instead of just seeing my face or Eileen's face, here's a new face. And one thing I just wanted to kind of say is I went to NERP, which is Northeast Regional Pride meeting, a month and a half ago, and people were talking about that a lot of the groups, organizations out there that do prides are male-run and are gay. And I just sat there at a table and I kind of giggled, and they go, "What's so funny?" And I'm like, "Well, we have a president who's straight." And they go, "Really?" I go, "And a woman?" And they're like, "And a woman?" I'm like, "Yeah." So
Women
please.
power.
Yes. So Rebecca's going to talk about what the network's been doing, and what's
And
up.
maybe why I started out in the network as well. When the network started in 2014, it was a small group. It was 7 different organizations and some individuals like Liz DiCarlo and Bev Pacelli and John Vasconcellos, who were very interested in making sure that the LGBT community had a voice and had the support that they needed, especially 2 very risky populations that were having problems were the youth, many of who were homeless, and the seniors, who very often were having isolation problems, but also as they aged into having to go into nursing homes or assisted living, they were concerned that they wouldn't be treated, I guess, fairly or respectfully if people knew they were gay. So some of the people are actually going back in the closet, and some of them have never, the older people, some of them have never really come out. So it comes to be a big problem. So we got together, and the Women's Center was a big proponent, as well as the YWCA, who was the beginning? It was the Agley people, it was the District Attorney's Office.
You want the list?
Yeah.
Here you go.
The Women's Fund was later.
Yep. Comcast came on later.
It was Fairhaven Council on Aging at Coastline. So we had, it was a whole array of people, from youth to seniors, and a conglomerate, really.
We had a steering committee at first.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, I think that what we've tried to keep going all this time, and I will say the most important thing to me, at least, as being the chairman for the last four years, is that the same core people, we added some more. We ended up with about 12 different organizations at the highlight of our steering committee, and the same people have stayed and been just committed and dedicated, and has allowed us to grow very quickly.
And one of the things is I don't say only, even though we're called the LGBTQ network, there's only 3 member organizations out of those 12 that are LGBTQ. So there's, I don't add very well, 9 that are just, helping our community out, and they don't need to. They step forward and said, you know what, we're here, we're gonna help, and the Lipsky-Whitaker grant is part of it.
The Lipsky-Whitaker grant really what has been the foundation of our organization. They have stepped in and helped us when we needed it. They helped us with our first $15,000 grant, which allowed us actually to get our first network coordinator, Joe Da Fonseca, who was awesome. He did our website.
Hey, Joe.
And a call out to Joe.
It's Kristina's brother.
And he was great. And
so we have Eileen. You're great too.
Yeah. And about a year ago, we decided to go to the next step, and I'm very happy to report that now, just in April, we actually got our 501c3. So we are officially an independent 501c3 nonprofit, and as our own independent, only serving LGBT, we will be underserved populations, which we weren't as a member of the Community Foundation, because that's not, we were using their 501c, and that was not their main focus.
Yeah,
So,
we were under their umbrella, under their blanket or so.
but also this year, we really sort of focused on getting out in the community and collaborating. I'm a big collaborator myself, and you know, in October, we did National Coming Out Day.
At Irish Latte Pub
At
downtown.
the Irish Latte Pub.
Yep.
And it was a great day. And then in November, we were asked by the New Bedford Art Museum, Artworks, and the New Bedford National Whaling Historical Park to partner with them to do a movie on Martha P. Johnson. And it was during November is Transgender Day of Remembrance. So they had the museum opened free of charge for the weekend, and we showed the movie, and then, you know, the Transgender Day of Remembrance was a Monday. But what really is important with that is it led to another collaboration, a larger collaboration with actually 9 different organizations, which included the Greater New Bedford Health Center, New Bedford Art Museum, and the Historical Park, but also Seven Hills Behavioral Health, the Women's Center, UMass Center for Women, Gender, and Sexuality, as well as the YWCA. And we had what we called our winter film series. It was the 4th Sunday in January, February, March, and April. We showed 4 different movies. One was on transgender, one was on Two Spirits of the Indians. We also had Southwest of Salem, which was Latino lesbian women who were really treated badly. And the last one was How to Survive a Plague about HIV, and it was really, really a moving and powerful document. These were all documentaries.
As well as people were going to the movies, we had booths out front. So the the people that were hosting this actually had booths out there, so people could stop and talk and find out more information about each one of us.
And we had a full house every week.
Sold out. Well, even though it was free.
It was free.
It sold out, but it was free.
But really, people did take advantage of coming and talking and networking, and it sort of went beyond our expectations, and we certainly are planning to do it again next year.
Definitely.
Disappointing?
Yep.
Oh, sorry, looking at the wrong camera.
Oh, that's all right. So we talked about the health fair we had this year.
The health fair, that was one thing we had on our agenda to do. It was a priority, but no one seemed to ever have the time, so we were happy to have Alicia Patrick, who was an intern and living in New Bedford for a while, where she grew up, and she actually was an NB Agley person as a youth. So it was great, and she actually joined the board as well, because we needed that one more person to make it an even count. So she really put together an awesome health fair. We had exercise and all kinds of fun stuff, and we had about probably 26 different vendors. Some of them were business vendors, a lot of them were health vendors. There was a lot of information, and it was really fun. So that's really something we'll be doing every year. And we also partnered with UMass Dartmouth, so we were able to use the art down on Purchase Street. So it was
downtown, very local. People could walk in, you know.
So it was really a lot of fun. Another thing we've done, and I think Kristina can talk about this, is our community needs assessment. Yeah. You know, as an organization, even though many of our members are LGBT, we don't want to say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from people on what they want to do. So we came up with this community needs assessment. I don't know if you want to talk a little about that, or...
Sure. So there's a variety of questions in the survey.
And Alicia actually did that too.
Yes, she did. She did.
Yeah.
But they talk about housing status, I think sense of safety with various agencies that we might encounter, and just really trying to get a sense of, you know, what what folks feel like there's a need for in the community.
Your age, what you feel safe with. Is your doctor LGBTQ friendly? I mean, it's not just, red, blue, it's, what do you feel, what the needs are.
Right.
And each year as we grow, we'll be able to add more questions, maybe delete some and take care of the needs that are out there.
And really know which resources we need. One of our big sort of caveats is to connect people to the resources that they need, and get as many of those resources locally, so they don't have to go to Boston.
Yeah,
they don't have to go to Providence, which are awesome.
Yeah.
But some of the youth don't have transportation. Many of the elders don't have transportation. So we want to make equal opportunity and access for health and other services available. So.
Yep. So one of the things I want to kind of talk about is we do a lot in our community, and we have New Bedford Pride coming up. Formerly New Bedford Pride, SouthCoast Pride. So we actually have it June 2nd in Buttonwood Park, same as we did last year. It's the first Saturday in June. We have Sister Funk is going to be our headliner this year. We actually have the South Coast Brass Band. Last year at Pride, I saw some elders sitting there with lounge chairs and just kind of chilling out. I'm going, wow, how many kids have never heard, brass or jazz? So I thought, how cool would that be? So we have them as well. We actually just did our contract with Vinny from Bubbles, the Bubble Guy. So we have the Bubble Guy. We'll have our kid zone again this year. We'll have a pre-party at Incognito and the after party at La Place, our local gay bar in New Bedford. From 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. will be Nicole will be DJing outside, and then it'll be a DJ all night long. And those proceeds will go back to the network to help pay for our Pride event. It's costly. We have 2 police officers, so we want people to know that every year we try to be as safe as we possibly can. We actually have Jeff Costa in the morning doing yoga again. We have the Bedford Wellness doing their Dr. Rocha High, shout out, doing the 1.9 wellness walk around the park. And then we just have our Pride Festival basically from 11 to 4. We have drag queens, a drag king again this year, different singers, entertainment throughout, and we're going to try and change it up a little bit this year. We had our meeting, and I'm going to be reaching out. If any of you guys know any flat artists, please hit me up, Tracy at sclgbtqnetwork.org. I'm going to hit up Third Eye. We really want, on the side of one of the stages, have live art going on while we're doing our Pride event. I kind of see things a little bit differently each year. Inclusivity is something I've always envisioned, so I kind of thought, how cool would it be? We're trying to get some donations of some canvases that people may want to donate $1 or $2 to do their own canvases, take them home. But what I'd really like to do is have them do live art and bring them to the MB Agley Center. And then when we actually get, or hoping our plans and dreams would be to get a big community center and be able to bring those over with us. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes with Pride. And, excuse me, I apologize.
Well, it's also great. Part of what you didn't mention is also all the tables and the vendors, right?
Correct.
Which I think is great too. So you can go and support vendors that support Pride, right?
Right. So we have, there'll be nonprofits, there'll be, excuse me, vendors that you can purchase items and goods.
We have local businesses.
Local businesses,
people
most
that have their
definitely.
own business. I know one of them, the first person to call back was one of our for-profit businesses who said she did so well last year that she wanted to make sure she had her spot this year. So we do have one more week left that we'll be taking more vendors, and I actually do the Pride Guide, and we have a little more ad space, so anyone that is willing to do an ad, just go on our website and you'll see that we have a whole sponsorship package, and you can see whether you want to do an ad or be a sponsor. You can help LGBTQ Network.
And you can find that information on our Facebook page, the LGBTQ Voice here for the show. We also share it on the South Coast LGBTQ Network page as well. And guys, to be a vendor at Pride is $50. So how much do you have to sell to kind of get that back, and you're there all day? Vendors usually set up like 10:30ish, because we have yoga going in the morning, so yoga's kind of our quiet Zen kind of time. But there's a full day of making money. And we only do, I say only, because other prides do a lot, and don't get me wrong, other prides may have thousands of people, but we're like $50. You come in, we make a little bit of money, because again, we pay for the stage, we pay for the security, and even at La Place, our after party, we hire 2 security guards. One checks the IDs at the door, and one walks around just to make sure that we have that little bit of safety for our community, because we never know what's going to happen at any day, LGBTQ or not. But I'm really excited for our Pride event. We have other events that we do. Guys, I'm so sorry, choking on something today. That the network supports, and you want to talk about that?
The programs?
Yeah, the programs that we do.
Yes, we have a few new programs. We took Pride Cafe, and it was quite successful, but only could be 2 Monday nights a month at the Unitarian Church. And someone said it's still in their bulletin that it's there, but it's really not. It's at every Monday night now from 7 to 9 at 484 Pleasant Street, our community center. Yep. And everyone is invited to attend. And we try to have dinners and things to do.
Yeah, it's an 18+ support group.
Right.
Yep.
And then also on Monday nights just before that, we have just started yoga. Project Wheelhouse does yoga from 5:30 to 6:30, and that's ages 14 and up. So that's something that only youth can get involved with, but also adults and seniors.
Yeah, we do have mats available, but if you have your own mat, bring it, because if we start running out, I think we maybe have 20 mats, I think.
Yeah, they were donated by Jeff Costa when he did it a few years back. Yep. Another thing that I'm really happy about is one of the things that came up as a gap in services through talking to people. Also, if someone has an idea or they want to comment or they don't want to do the survey, but they might want to give some information, they can just click on the Contact Us button, and it comes up with a little form to fill out, and that comes directly to actually me. Yep. And that tells us a lot, and we've gotten probably about 40 people interested in our work this year, just through those contacts. And some of them have joined the Social Justice Committee, some of them are interested in doing some more work for us, and some of them have actually are at Pride, are volunteers at Pride. And we always need new volunteers, and you don't have to be gay to volunteer.
Speaking of volunteers, we all volunteer our time. None of us get paid for the work that we do. We do have one network coordinator, which is Eileen. So Eileen will get paid because we need that professional position for our network. Everything we do is volunteer. You see us at a door somewhere, you see me doing something, you see anybody of us doing anything, it's no money, guys.
Right, and it's important. And it's important to us that it's not just the LGBT community, that we all work together, because together we need to work in order to make our community stronger and more welcoming. And just by knowing each other and getting to know each other, it just causes that nice community spirit. And that's what we try to do with Pride every year. It's really an inclusive event. That's a family event, a family-friendly event that we hope everyone will come to.
Well, last year I was so excited when the kids had their picnic blankets on the ground and then their lunches and stuff. I was like, wow, we're getting there. You know, I think so we had about 500 people last year at Pride. We're hoping, you know, each year we'll get a little bigger. I mean, Buttonwood Park is huge, guys. We're at Buttonwood Park.
There's lots of place to expand.
Yes,
hopefully this year we'll have good weather. Last year it was a little bit of a damper.
A little bit off and on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me, anybody saying anything over there?
Alexander Kingman said hi.
Hi, Alex. That's it?
That's it.
All right. Next.
Well, I started talking about the LGBT youth and parent group. This is something that we had people contact us. We had 2 parents with young children, too young for Perfect Place. And they were like 7, 8 and 9. And then recently we had 2 other parents who had even younger children. So we started a support group. It's every Wednesday from 6:30 to 7:30, and it is a drop-in.
Not a drop-off. Don't drop the
Not
kids
a
and run.
drop-off. The parents attend with the children.
I see this every show.
And we sort of let the kids ask questions, and it's been very, very needed. The parents want to know how they can support their children and what's the best way. They came out so young, and yet they're definitely, you know, the younger that you deal with it and help them, they're hoping, you know, then it gets to be.
We may not need MBAGLY at some point.
That's right.
You know, if we start early enough to get these steps. So one of the things that people don't even know that MBAGLY still exists. We had somebody email a friend of mine, Scott. Hi, Scott. He runs SIGJA, Cape Ann Skate Street Youth Alliance, and said, hey, can you help a 7-year-old? And I'm like, a 7-year-old? Well, this group was originally 8 to 13, so we made it, you know what, we don't care how old you are to 13. I mean, we don't know what age, you know, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, as long as the parents come with them. Now, this mother has a 7-year-old child, and a 10-year-old child doesn't know what to say to my brother or sister now, and the mother just came out as gay. So there's just so much in the community that behind the scenes that we need to try and be here for. So we keep trying to open up different groups and organizations to kind of help our community. So we have more.
And really, one thing we've started recently, and it's on Sundays from 9 to 10 a.m. at the 484 Pleasant Street, is Sober and Out, an LGBT AA meeting.
Yep.
And it's a closed meeting. You must be
AA. You don't have to
must
be gay to go to AA.
No,
but
you don't need
however,
to be gay, but you do
Yeah.
need to have, it's a closed meeting for people that,
It's same as like Leo was talking about earlier. He was on an earlier segment of the show. You know, some people feel more comfortable being around gay people with the same
Right.
issues. And again, AA is for everybody, but this happens to be, you know, LGBTQ. Hopefully it'll help a few people that are out there.
and we have supported for years the LGBT Senior Supper Club. It's about 30 people that meet once a month at the Fairhaven Council on Aging. It's the only senior LGBT supper club in the area. We also do have supported in Fall River. They actually have a lunch bunch for them as well once a month. But recently I've learned a lot of the supper club people from New Bedford actually go to Fall River. Yeah, they do. So that's good too. We're getting people to mingle.
Well, which is terrific, because when we first started the network, Tom, who's been on our show a couple times, we actually had words about, you know, where do we put the Q? They didn't want the word queer. We had all these conversations, and now Tom, his husband Marvin, Connie, and Linda, all from the Supper Club, are actually volunteering for Pride. And Connie actually just joined on board for the network. So we have different age groups. Even though I represent NB Agley, and our kids are 14 to 24, it's just so nice to have a different realm of understanding of what age groups. Now we have 7-year-old to senior. I mean, there's a lot that we do in our community that people just don't understand, and we don't understand what all the needs are. I can say I know what it's like to be a gay woman, but I'm not going to be able to answer what that gay guy beside me, what his needs are. So again, we need the community needs assessment completed. We actually did it a year, even though we talked about the homelessness stuff for the 24-hour period and the youth for the 2-week period. We want to do the year so we can kind of look up and see what's going on. I mean, even earlier today at our pre-meeting, I was asking our youth, I have 2 MB Agley kids over here, you know, what do they want to see at Pride? And Kevin, again, wants to see the sword swallower. And Mariah mentioned, you know, doing Pride raffles. So next year we'll get back to doing the Pride raffles. So, you know, if you guys have ideas for the show, ideas for the community, you can hit me up at Tracy with an I, SCLGBTQnetwork.org. We're on Facebook, so if you want to hit us up on Facebook, it's the LGBTQ Voice for this, or the SouthCoast LGBT Network actually has its own Facebook page. If you have questions about MB Agley, again, hit me up. I do MB Agley, and we can actually reach out to the organizations that Rebecca had read earlier. We're always in constant contact with all the organizations, and we meet once a month. Second Monday? God help me.
Second Monday of the month.
Second
at
Monday
the
of the
Women's
month.
Center.
Yeah, the Women's Center. We've actually had 2 volunteer meetings already for Pride. I'm happy to say that I actually texted a whole bunch of people yesterday. We have 19 volunteers right now for Pride.
That's great.
Well, last year it wasn't as many.
We're also we're actually right now in training for the Service Enterprise training.
Please talk about that.
And, you know, that's a intense training by the Massachusetts Service Alliance. Several people in the area have gone through it, and it really teaches you how to not only attract more volunteers, but how to keep them interested, and also how best to use them. You know, we should be able, especially we have lots of areas that we could use volunteers. I could use them in the office, you know, we could use them for a lot of different.
Yeah. And same thing, you know, we're looking for internships as well. Because Eileen and I, behind the scenes, we co-produce the show. Well, I know she's here, but we co-produce a show, we co-host a show. We're both NBA advisors, as well as, you know, we do the network. And these guys have full-time jobs, and I have a full-time job. So we're looking for looking for help all the time. If you have ideas for the show, ideas for the yield, if you want to sponsor the show, contact Leo at thebedfordguy.com. If you have a park that you say, you know what, I can have your kids for the day, we'll be more than glad to take any assistance, because again, we talked about our budgets the other day for MB Agley. Our rent is $12,000 a year. We only get $11,000, folks. We don't get paid. However, we pay our youth to facilitate the meetings. And they have quarterly meetings they go to. They have an overnight meeting we go to. We're actually going to Massachusetts Youth Pride and Bagley Prom. on May 19th. So if you have any youth between the ages of 14 and 24, and you can come with us if you're that age. Other aggregates stop at 22. The reason why we do 24, it's unfortunate that HIV has been on the rise in New Bedford and it continues to go the wrong way. So we actually do till 24 in our area. You can hit me up. We have permission slips for the youth, and it's actually a permission slip for everybody, because if something happens to you, we need to know who to contact, even if you're 18 to 24 years old. So Massachusetts Youth Pride is May 19th, and prom is from 4 to 7 right afterwards, and it's terrific. We take a bus up. We actually invited SIGJA, which is our Cape and Islands Gay Straight Youth Alliance, if they want to come up with us. We hit up Project Yes in Fall River, and say, well, they have an office in New Bedford. Say, listen, we got a bus. Well, let's go on up and hang out together. There was 16 youth that we had last year, and we were quite excited that every year Bagley picks a youth group. There's 15 out of a hat. I don't know how they pick it, and you get to be on the duck boat. How cool is it to start Pride after being on the duck boat? We were on it a few years ago. Last year, John and I, one of the other adult advisors, were working hard behind the scenes, and we were helping out. We wouldn't even sign up for booths, but you know what? You need help, we'll be there. All of a sudden, they came up to us, and they said, oh my God, we have a problem. I said, what's the problem? Well, the group we picked this year only had 5 kids. How many do you have? I'm like, 16. Would you like to be on the duck boat? All right, we will. We didn't have to walk. I'm like, yes! And we were all excited. So to have the kids be able to go to their own Pride and their own prom, it's amazing. We walked through the streets of Boston just like a regular Pride would do. People honk their horns. It's amazing, the walking and the waving that we do. But a shout out to Massachusetts Youth Pride and Bagley Prom for putting this on for us.
So I want to do one more shout out to Lipsky Whitaker Fund, because they have just given you a nice grant to do internships.
Thank you for that. And we'll say the network.
And they gave the network one too.
Yeah, so Eileen behind the scenes and I have been talking to what we can do for the kids at MBAgley. So we want to kind of get the kids off the street. So Eileen is the grant writer. I only had that much to do with it. Eileen did that much with the grant. We actually have internships, so we're actually going to be able to, I think it's 4 internships for maybe 4 months or 6 months. And we pay the payroll, and we say to your business, hey, I got a deal for you. I got a kid that wants to learn and understand what's going on, and this is the job for them, and we'll pay them, and you get free labor. How does that sound? So as we get going on these internships and whatnot, we'll be hitting local businesses up, and we'll be having, God help me, we already have 2 kids that always come to our youth group that we already said, you know what, 2 of those are yours. We'll be doing an application form and a processes to pick the other 2. But we're looking forward to definitely for that, and we got 15,000.
Right, and it's a great
network.
The network got 15,000. Yes, they did, and that will help us with our rent.
Yeah,
and also it helped us with Pride and some other operating expenses.
Because we're a nonprofit. You know, if we don't get these funds or we don't get these donations, you know, a shout out to Remy Grabber. He actually does an event every year, and unfortunately it coincides with our Pride event, and he does a thing at the Eagle in Providence, and over the years he's donated over $5,000 to us. Fits like a glove flag. Jim, thank you so much as well, out of the Providence Eagle. They have, and that's where Remy has come from, the flag. We've gotten, Stacey's donated to us, and Remy, even though Remy's not the title holder, he donated again last year as well. So June 2nd, again, at Providence Eagle, you can find that event there. And I'm actually a judge at the Flag August, the first weekend of August, I will be a judge at the Flag event this year. Nice. So shout out to you guys for helping us out. So yeah, we're going to talk to Kristina again, because now we're going to change the hat over. Yeah. Kristina actually is the lead of our social justice and advocacy for the network.
Temporary lead.
For now.
Temporary. For now. Yes, so we have a social justice and advocacy committee. We meet monthly, and we've had about 4 or 5 meetings so far. And our goal is to try to advocate on LGBTQ issues and sort of help sort of expand you know, on social justice issues in our region, right? So we can be sort of mobilize if issues come up, or try to address things proactively. So, but we are looking for new members to join our committee. So including including a lead.
For now, she's
We're hoping
the lead.
that leader will step forward eventually.
Right, exactly.
Which is part of our training for Service Alliance,
Right.
and actually Christina's in it for her.
It was funny, we went to the meeting and Christina was representing the
SouthCoast Fair Housing, which has been a part and been with our, we're part of our steering committee, but also remain faithful supporters of the network.
So why do you think that we need such a group for the advocacy? What is it?
Well, I mean, I think that there's a lot of education that needs to go around on sort of in our larger community about various LGBTQ issues. So that's one piece that I think that we can sort of play a role on. But then also, I think being available to support folks as they confront issues of, you know, obtaining access to various programs or you know, achieving equal rights, right? So I think those are sort of a couple of different ways that we can help have an impact. You know, we're just very new, right, off the ground, but I think there's a lot that we can do to sort of raise awareness about various issues facing LGBTQ individuals and families, and try to help that population become more visible and achieve equal access.
So you guys are looking into the trans bill?
Yeah, so that's something that we might be talking about working on, which is a ballot measure that unfortunately is on the ballot that might turn back some access to public accommodations or equal access to public accommodations for transgender individuals. And so that's an issue that the committee is thinking about, you know, how can we help to keep the law the way it is, right?
Yep. So one of the things we could probably do is October-ish, maybe invite a couple of politicians, one for, one against, and invite them to be on the show and talk about it. We don't really go too political on the show. I want to make sure that what I speak about, I'm knowledgeable about, and who we bring on the show is knowledgeable about, you know, the truths of what's really going on out there in our community.
You might also want to include Jane Doe Inc., who is the Massachusetts Organization for Sexual Assault and Domestic Violence, and they are doing quite a bit of work on that initiative. So that would be something not only I plan on actually contacting them and seeing if, you know, how we can yeah, so I'm
Rebecca
retired.
retired from the Women's Center, but she's not retired.
Yeah, I couldn't leave. I retired from the Women's Center, which this was like one of my projects that I was assigned to, really. But I really got into it, and I do have a transgender brother, so I'm certainly always been, you know, interested. We fly the rainbow flag. I go to a church in Wareham that flies the rainbow flag. So we are all about inclusion and being welcoming to everyone.
And Kristina, you want to talk about what's going on with your family?
What's going on with my
Well,
family?
you identify as straight?
Yes,
And
I
your
do.
brother is gay?
Yes, I do have a gay brother, and you know, it was I think the coming out process impacts more than, you know, can impact, especially if it's a negative process. It can impact straight individuals in the family as well, and so so that's sort of how I started my awareness of these issues. But you know, we're having a conversation the other day about, and I wonder if anyone has an answer to this, is how many rainbow flags are flown on houses in New Bedford?
Not as many as Providence.
Yeah, and so we're talking about why we think that is, and all of that.
You know, I mean,
Might be another thing to do for, I know one thing I wanted to, we didn't have time this year, but we'd love to get, you know, we would buy the rainbow flags even and hand them out to businesses if they would fly, you know, especially down in downtown, but also we could do it outreach to individuals in the neighborhoods, you know.
So we talk about our violence show that we had, and Dennis DeMello watches the show, and he's been a guest and helped me host, and somebody wrote faggot on his fence. You know, we're not where we need to be.
Right.
We're just not where we need to be. As the melting pot that we have, we talked about the homeless youth. We were going over statistics earlier that 33,000 grandparents, almost 33,800 something grandparents had to step up to take care of their grandchildren because they were going to be homeless, they were neglected, abused sexually, or however you want to look at it. And those grandparents have our youth, and they're not ready to change. So until we work on the homelessness issues and get these kids where they need to be, the cycle's not going to stop. You know, Providence is I'm so happy to have our brothers and sisters along with us. A lot of those guys are going to be at our Pride event. Jacqueline DeMera hosts it. We're going to have the Imperial Court of Rhode Island. Some of those guys are going to be guys, will be part of it. You know, they're not ready yet. On Facebook, someone said they actually asked on Facebook, should I put a rainbow flag up? What do y'all think? Where do you live?
Well, it's
What
quite a
street do you live on?
conversation starter.
It really is.
I live in Mattapoisett in
Yeah.
a beach area, and it was quite a conversation starter.
Yeah. What you got?
5 minutes.
We have 5 minutes? Awesome. So again, guys, there's a lot of things behind the scenes that we do. If you see us out and about and you want to talk to us, just reach out to us. Again, Rebecca at sclgbtqnetwork.org. Eileen is behind the scenes. Again, you guys know Eileen at sclgbtqnetwork.org, and Tracy at the same numbers.
Or just go to our website, hit contact us.
Yeah, our website, guys, has a lot of information on what's going on, and I know he said 5 minutes. So we're actually have a fundraising and development that Rebecca has been working on. There's other groups besides just what we just talked about, the advocacy. I am the events chairperson for the network. So we each have like a different group that we're doing. So the more volunteers we have, the more time we'll be able to invest. And once we get this community needs assessment, again, I think it ends next September, or this September, because I guess it's not really next if it's this. We'll be able to sit down and read what the needs are, and once hopefully we get our 501c3 status going, and we get extra grants and funding in, we'll know where to spend that money. You know, and we talk about a bigger center. How great would it be?
We'll be dreaming big at our strategic planning session
We have
in
a
July.
strategic planning meeting. I mean, to have kids be able to come in, you know, we call MB Agley a drop-in center, but it's not. We're 2 hours. These youth, even seniors, to be able to come in, elders, and wash and dry their clothes. You know, have no working kitchen, have clinician work. We're getting there. You know, we're not where we need to be, but we're far better off we were 7 years ago and 4 years ago when the network came on. And MB Agley wouldn't have survived if we didn't have the network, if we didn't have Liskey Whitaker. Behind the scenes, John and I were freaking out. We're like, oh my God, we're gonna tell these kids they have no home. I mean, we call MB Agley a perfect place our home. So we almost had to close 2 years, almost 2.5 years into running, you know, going in, we almost had to close. This will be our 7th year this June. MB Agley, and I get emotional, I know, that's what I do. I did the other night, we were talking about it. That's what I do, you know.
We worked hard to get that funding back.
Yeah, you know, it's tough out there. You wanna donate to MB Agley, hit me up. You know, you want to say, you know what, hey, you guys want pizza Thursday night? I'm buying. Hit us up. Olive Garden, you deliver. Come on, hit us up. You know, we'll take it. So next week's show, we actually have, what's next week's show? Do you remember? You don't? All right, I do. We actually have done different shows. We have done shows with parents, people who chose to be parents, LGBTQ. Next week's show was actually kids who have gay parents. We had a show with parents with gay kids. Now we're going to have straight kids with gay parents and kind of do a different twist on that. So each week we kind of do different shows. And to let you guys know, we actually talked to Incognito. And Sandra, thank you. How you doing? We're actually going to be doing a dating game show out of Incognito. So what will happen is that we'll have a gay guy and a gay woman or a lesbian, and we'll do the dating game. They'll have 3 people behind a petition. They'll be asking them questions, and whoever they pick, they'll be having a dinner and drinks on Incognito. So it'll be a Tuesday night, which is a good night for a business to have some extra people there. It'll be a live show. People can come in and be part of the audience, just like you would see somewhere else. So we hit them up. And again, Incognito is going to be doing our pre-Pride party for Pride. Nice. So yeah, it should be a fun kind of thing to get out of the studio. And again, this is MB Agley, God, I wear too many hats. New Bedford Guide, this is actually their first show out of the new studio. So at some point, they'll probably do a view of it. Our last studio, we couldn't even fit through the back of the chairs. I mean, we had people sitting right beside us, so you couldn't even see that. I could just touch like this. But we're looking forward to where New Bedford Guide's going. We appreciate the help that they're doing for us. But for us to be on this show, we need to make money. We actually pay the camera guys each week, and right now, Mike's been paying that out of his pocket. Once we start getting, again, this is our 16th show, get more involved in the community, let people know where we're at, 50% of the proceeds are gonna go to the network that help the community, and that's what we're looking for, and that's why we do the show that we do. And each show, we talk about different topics. So if you have a topic idea, hit me up. And we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.